One thing I've noticed about Azure Standard is that it changes how you think about your home. Instead of running out for one thing at a time, you start thinking about abundance. A well-stocked pantry, a thriving garden, meals shared with family. It's a different approach to living. Explore what Azure Standard has to offer at azurestandard.com and shop this month's Waves of Abundance deals. Azure Standard, family owned and operated. Shop today at azurestandard.com.
Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and you know Andy's here with me.
Oh, Michael, bright and early. Get a nice stretch in as we start.
There we go. Get comfortable. Get comfortable. I love these morning recordings.
I know, right? Get coffee.
We got a lot of good energy.
Got breakfast in my system. I'm good.
Right? We did it last week. It was probably the only good thing about our episode last week is that we had good energy.
Good energy. Good energy, Michael.
You can't say we didn't have good energy. We might not have had good information, but we had good energy.
We had the best intentions.
We had the best of intentions. We always do. But guys, we appreciate you listening. And if you love what we're doing here, even though sometimes we make mistakes, you know, like last week with the Lindsay Clancy case, and we prefaced that at the beginning of the episode that it was, you know, before all the information come out, and that maybe that was a bad decision on our part. But you know what? The beauty about podcasting is you can just do another one.
Yeah, we can do a follow-up.
We'll just do another one, and hopefully we don't fuck that up.
Right?
Right?
Second time's a charm.
But guys, before we get into this case today, I got to remind you about Patreon. Patreon.com/TrueCrimeGuys. It is the best way to support the show. Guys, please go check it out. You can be a free patron as well and get access to some bonus and behind-the-scenes stuff. There's a link to Patreon right below the description of this episode, as well as our sponsors and things like that. But today we're talking about something completely different. We're talking about a serious injustice today. Mm-hmm.
Talking about some arson, Michael.
We are. We're talking about some arson. We're talking about a man named Curtis Severns. And if you search this name, you won't find a lot. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. Thank God I found this amazing article that I was able to base most of the information on. And of course, you know, you go to Reddit, but even on Reddit and YouTube, there's hardly anything.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of mystery to this case too, kind of like, you know, how we got to where we are today. But it's been nearly 20 years since Curtis Severns was sentenced to 27 years in federal prison. He was convicted of intentionally starting a fire in his own gun shop. He would have, at this time, if he was still in prison, which we'll get to that, he would have 7 years left on his sentence, had he not been released early. And he always maintained his innocence. He literally could not believe it when he got convicted.
No.
But as in many arson cases, and this is why I decided to cover this, I just feel like this is not common knowledge. He was convicted almost exclusively by the testimony of fire investigators. Mm-hmm. So, like, when a fire happens in any property that you own, whether it be your home, a commercial property, whatever, what have you, these investigators hold your future in their hands. Yeah. Whatever they say happened, happened. Now,
and there's hardly any oversight to that too.
Exactly.
As we learn.
Exactly. And, you know, a lot of the investigators at the time, this happened in 2004, these investigators relied on assumptions that some of the leading arson experts in the country now say are just completely false. And they've seen the opposite of this happen multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. And new evidence reveals that Severns did time for a crime that he most likely did not commit.
Ooh, we'd never like to see that.
So how does this happen, Andy? Let's roll that intro and let's get into it.
Right you are!
Ann Applebaum from Twilight of Democracy. In many advanced democracies, there is now no common debate, let alone a common narrative.
This is Curtis Severns speaking on the wisdom of discernment. This is a sermon he did at Red River Unitarian Universalist Church. And this sermon was actually posted on 8/23/2026. So the very week that we posted this episode, this video came out, and it's the only trace I could find of Curtis on YouTube. So, in what he has to say, as far as taking in information, making educated decisions, kind of has a lot to do with this case, in a way. So I thought it was fitting to put as the intro. So I hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you on the other side.
People have always had different opinions. Now they have different facts. At the same time, in an information sphere without authorities and no trusted sources, there is no easy way to distinguish between conspiracy theories and true stories. False, partisan, and often deliberately misleading narratives now spread in digital wildfires, cascades of falsehood that move too fast for fact checkers to keep up. The noise Applebaum describes is a world in which discernment now has to operate. The lesson is, look how quickly all of us can construct reasonable stories from incomplete information. We have never had more incomplete information arriving with complete confidence. Headlines, advertisements, memes, algorithms, influencers, podcast blowhards, self-appointed experts, and those people who watched 11 minutes of a YouTube video and are now prepared to explain epidemiology. We have more access to information than any generation in history. But information is not knowledge, and knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom requires deciding what deserves our confidence.
All right, so we're going to pick up on August 21st, 2004. It was just past 1 a.m. on a Saturday when the phone rang and woke up Curtis Severns. It was the security company. They said that his gun shop was on fire.
That's always a great thing to think about.
Right.
Not only is your store on fire, it's a gun store, so it's on big fire.
It's on big fire. So he got up, he kissed his wife Sue and their newborn baby goodbye, and he started the hour-long trip from North Texas. He lived in a town called Sherman, to his store in Plano, Texas. Now, by the time Severns reached his shop, the Plano Fire Department had already put out the flames, but his business was clearly ruined. And a local fire investigator immediately suspected arson.
Really? In a store full of highly flammable stuff?
Yeah. He believed the burn patterns indicated that the fire started in 3 different places. Imagine pulling up and this investigator's telling you this already, right? So you're thinking, oh man, somebody set my store on fire.
Yeah,
So,
immediately somebody burned my store down. What the fuck?
Right? Of course, anytime they label a fire having multiple points of origin, it indicates arson, right? Because fires don't just start in random places.
No, they don't just pop
Most accidental fires start in one spot, right?
And even if you're going to if you're going to burn down a store, making it look so obvious as to start the fire in 3 different places, like that's just it would be very clearly that that's arson.
Yeah.
So it's like if this was an arson case, it doesn't even look like they tried to cover it up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not like they just tried to let's make this look like this was a faulty
Right.
wiring job, and then boom. It's like if you start the fire here in one room, and then here in another room, and then here in another room, it's like they're going to immediately know that was fucking started.
Yeah.
That was an arson case.
Exactly. So the local police, they called in agents from the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the old ATF.
Oh, no.
Because obviously the fire had ignited in a gun shop.
That's the firearms part.
Exactly. So they came in and were starting to build an arson case against Severns, right? Because they're getting the information from the local investigator and they're obviously taking his word, right? But there wasn't a lot to go on, right? There was no witnesses. There was no accelerants. There was a little bit of motive for Severns to burn down his own business, because he has insurance, but, who doesn't? Prosecutors claim later that he did it for the insurance money, which is weird because 5 months before this happened, Severns actually reduced his insurance policy. It was actually to a price that wasn't even enough to cover the merch or the gun store.
Right. It's like most people who commit arson for the insurance money, it's usually because they're struggling. They're about to have to close their doors.
Yes.
It's like, was he struggling?
They were not struggling financially either.
So
no.
yeah, then why it doesn't make sense for him to burn the store down?
No, if he burned the store down, he would lose money. Mm-hmm. Even if he got a full insurance check, he would lose money.
Yeah, he's still not recouping everything that he would have lost.
Exactly. But 2 of the leading arson experts in the country believe the fire at Lone Star Guns was accidental. They say it had a single point of origin. It was sparked by an electric cord, a frayed electric cord at that was hooked to a fan. It was spread by a case of aerosol cans sitting nearby.
This seems like one of those. Do you remember the show?
Dude, it's like a Final Destination scene.
It is. I was gonna say, like, do you remember the show 1,000 Ways to Die?
Yes, of course.
But it's kind of like one of those things, like a spark on this electrical thing.
Yep.
But yeah, Final Destination definitely. But nobody was hurt in this, thank God.
No.
But yeah, just that like spark from a frayed cord hits this one thing of a flammable liquid, ignites these cans of aerosol.
They shoot
shoot
off all
off to
over the
different
place.
rooms. They start
Yeah.
fires in different areas. I'm like,
And you can see how a can firing off, shooting flames from it, can start a fire somewhere else.
Like that's why I was imagining the 1,000 Ways to Die. Because remember how they used to always like do like the digital recreation of how these things would happen, and they would show like the like the trajectory of things, or being
Yeah.
like, then this fell like this, and they would slow it all down. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to imagine, like the recreation of this fire scene.
Yes.
Of them being like, this one spark started it all, and then just flaming cans
Yes,
shooting off.
It's amazing there was only 3 points of origin.
Yeah, right.
It really is. Because the cans, they had gun cleaner in them, which is highly flammable. So, and then when aerosol cans explode, like Andy's talking about, they're basically like little mini blowtorches. They're just flying all over the place. They're spewing gas and flames. But these investigators said that the ATF agents were using sloppy methods, and they mistook an aerosol can explosion for a 3 point of origin fire.
Again, like if you're going to if you're trying to burn this place down for the insurance money, you wouldn't have started a 3-point fire in different locations and make it look so sloppy.
Right? So John Lentini, he's one of the best known fire investigators in the nation. He agreed. He said, quite frankly, I couldn't see that. The investigators of the Lone Star Guns fire was typical, he says. It's an appealing notion that you can calculate multiple points of origin. This school of thought hasn't been validated, and it leads to false convictions. Very true. Severns' trial became a debate about aerosol cans. It really did. Prosecutors contended that the cans could not have spread the fire. Their two-star witnesses were the lead ATF investigator and a prominent arson expert who works closely with the ATF and testifies for prosecutors pretty often.
One thing I've noticed about Azure Standard is that it changes how you think about your home. Instead of running out for one thing at a time, you start thinking about abundance. A well-stocked pantry, a thriving garden, meals shared with family. It's a different approach to living. Explore what Azure Standard has to offer at azurestandard.com and shop this month's Waves of Abundance deals. Azure Standard, family owned and operated. Shop today at azurestandard.com.
They argued the aerosol cans explode in a brief flash and that the contents inside burn off quickly and they don't spread fire. And the jury believed every word.
I feel like this whole episode could have been, or this whole like trial could have been solved in an episode of Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Like just bring in Jamie and
yeah.
Jamie Heineman and what's his name? I can't remember the other guy's name.
Damn it.
But bring in those guys, and they could have fucking solved this thing. You
They
just
could
figure
have.
out whether or not aerosol cans can start a fire.
And, well, what's interesting is before he was actually convicted, they had solved this thing, and it was on video. But this video was not leaked until 2007, after Severns was already behind bars, right? Someone inside the ATF leaked one of the agency's training videos. In the video, which was shot in 1994, mind you, ATF agents intentionally ignite aerosol cans to see how they react. When the cans explode, they can clearly be seen bouncing all around the room, tossing flaming liquid and starting fires that were several feet away. In 94, Andy,
Yeah,
they had
it's-
this evidence.
Jesus. Yeah, it's a fucking can of flammable liquid. Like it's still a liquid in there, but it's condensed down to spray in an aerosol form.
Yeah.
Like it's still going to spray that shit everywhere. Mm-hmm. God, yeah. I love it. That doesn't happen. We've never seen evidence of that. Don't you guys have a video? Shut the fuck up, Ted.
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
exactly. The fire expert who provided key testimony for the prosecution, John DeHaan, recently admitted that it's theoretically possible that the fire was accidental.
Theoretically.
Yeah. ATF investigators in Severns' case knew about the video during his 2006 trial. In fact, the supervising ATF agent on the case helped run the aerosol can experiment.
Oh, I do remember a thing we did back in the 90s. But, it was the 90s, man. Everything was on fire back then.
Yeah, exactly. So not only did they hide it, they failed to inform Severns' defense team of it as well. And yet in February of 2009, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Severns' bid for a new trial, even with the ATF video. And
What?
Yeah. And after that, his lawyers filed more appeals. Perhaps no one was more surprised by the verdict than Severns. He had turned down a 5-year plea offer before the trial.
Yeah, because he had no reason to exist.
Exactly. Right. And his lawyer was telling him, he was like, look, you could be home in 3 years, honestly, if you take this 5-year plea. And Severns was like, I didn't do anything. I'm not going to admit to it.
Like, I was an hour plus away.
Right. He kind of reminds me of the West Memphis 3. When those boys were like, we didn't do anything. You can't convict us of a crime we didn't do. And then they went to prison.
And they were like, bet.
Yeah,
Watch
exactly.
us.
Exactly. So when the judge read the guilty verdict, Severns absolutely collapsed. He fell to the floor behind the defense table. And he just said, I didn't do this. That's all he could say. He said, how could you do this? And a short time later, U.S. Marshals handcuffed him and led him away to nearly 3 decades in federal prison. He was sentenced to 27 years.
God, that is wild. For just, again, the fact that they were like, this can't happen. The flames cannot be started by aerosol cans. Like, bitch, they can.
Right. So months later, after the sentencing, June 8th, 2007, the Dallas Morning News, they published a story about a man from Sherman, Texas, who had been convicted of burning his gun shop down. Fire investigators knew the fire was not accidental, they say, because it was started in 3 different places.
Again, yeah, if it started in 3 different places, it's pretty obvious.
And what sucks, too, it's like, it sucks that they're spreading this news about him, but it kind of sucks that it was hidden in the newspaper. It wasn't a main story, so it didn't really get anyone else's attention. So people who knew Severns, who knew Curtis, they couldn't be like, Curtis wouldn't do that. We need to look into this, right?
Yeah.
Because no one saw the article. It was like hidden.
It's like a page 5 type deal.
Yeah, page 5B. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's way back there. So let's go back and learn a little bit more about Severns around the time this fire started, right? At the time, he was 42 years old. He was a handyman by trade. His wife, Sue, whom he married in 2003, was the family breadwinner. She made all the money. And this is why they didn't need money from the store.
Yeah, this was like a side business.
Exactly. She was a computer programmer. She worked in Silicon Valley, dude, for Hewlett-Packard. She was making 6 figures at the time easily.
Gee,
okay?
Yeah.
They did not need the insurance money. In early 2004, the Severns bought Lone Star Guns in Plano. It was Curtis's idea, of course. He was listening to a lot of conservative talk radio at the time. And, he was listening to, they were talking about the lifting of the Brady's Bill ban on assault weapons, which I think has already been lifted now, obviously. Yeah. And he figured, well, if I can get ahead of that, once this assault rifles ban is lifted, there'll be a lot of money to be made on assault rifles.
That is such a conservative, wet dream of a business plan that this man just did. I was listening to some talk radio, and they're talking about like they were banning or lifting a ban on some assault weapons. So you're thinking, you're going to buy an assault weapon? No, I'm going to buy a gun store and start selling assault weapons.
What's crazy is he was able to buy this gun store for $80,000.
God damn, the whole store?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know. In 2004, that's crazy, man.
It
is a little town. It's not like a huge. It's probably like the size of a small pawn shop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm still like, I'm trying to figure out how much inventory the store came with, because I'm like, are you just buying the property for $80,000?
Probably, yes.
Okay,
yes.
I was like,
oh yeah, that gun owner's not leaving the guns.
I'm like, are you selling all the inventory with that shit? I'm like, that's like fucking, you just basically sold 80 guns.
Because Lone Star Guns was already a gun store.
Yeah,
it'd been there for 30 years, so he was just buying it. He was buying an established business.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he bought the business, so I'm assuming he didn't have to buy all new inventory.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, $80,000 for an entirely already up and running gun store? That's a deal right there. Unless it was like the smallest gun store in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So at the time of the fire, like we said, the Severns were not struggling with money. Sue had more than $100,000 in the savings just in case the gun thing doesn't work out.
Just in case this
Just
little
in case.
project of yours.
Exactly. They weren't behind on anything. They weren't behind on their mortgage. They were paying the gun store note on time. Everything was rolling good. On August 21st, Curtis arrived at Lone Star Guns around noon, and it wasn't unusual for him to work weekends. The store closed at 6. He told the other employees that he'd lock up. This wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Severns employees would later testify that he always worked late hours. If
it's his
anything
store.
needed to be done, he stayed and did it, But, and he's just starting the store, so he's trying to save money in any way he can.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll talk about that, too. So on this night, at about 10:30 p.m., he locks the store, he sets the alarm, and he set off for home. Now, in the summer, especially after all the other employees were gone, he would cut the AC off and he would just use desk fans.
Yeah.
Just to cool the shop, just to have some air moving around in there. And it is nighttime too, so it's a little cooler. And when he left that night, he later testified that he forgot to turn off one of the desk fans. And it was that motherfucker that had a frayed cord and started everything, right? But it was 23 minutes after he left, the smoke alarm sounded. You see the timing?
Yeah. Now it looks more suspicious.
It does look more suspicious. The short time gap, that did him no favors. No favors. So he was the last person inside the building that night. If it was arson, there's no question that he did it, right? But it's entirely possible that an accidental blaze could start in 23 minutes. An accidental blaze could start in 30 seconds.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, yeah, especially if your electrical cord is frayed and it hasn't been on because you've been running the AC. So let's talk about the fire. Let's talk about the damage. The fire itself, relatively minor. Flames, they did engulf 2 gunsmith workbenches and an area of bookcases that were in the back room, probably for overstock and whatnot. The flames were out roughly 30 minutes after the firefighters arrived. The store's workroom took a lot of damage. It was about a 12 by 12 foot area, but the front of the store, the customer area, was mostly untouched.
There you go. See? Good.
Which, why wouldn't you light that area on fire if you're trying to collect insurance, right? You would want where all the expensive stuff is to get ruined so you can get the money for all of it,
Yeah,
right?
you don't want your store area or your workbenches to be ruined.
Right? Seriously. But the water, obviously, from the firefighters ruined most of the guns in the place. But the structure remained mostly intact. A few neighboring businesses suffered some smoke damage, but no one was injured, like Andy said earlier. The people most affected, of course, were the Severns. Curtis and his wife. They were the only ones taking a real hit here. Because their hard work building this store and all of their inventory that was inside destroyed. So the next day, investigators, they were picking through the smoldering, the remnants, the ashes, whatever's left in the gun shop's back room. And before the ATF investigators even showed up, firemen and store employees had moved items around and were starting to clean up too. So they're already messing with this scene.
If this is a crime scene, you're already fucking it up.
Exactly. Special Agent Steve Steele.
God damn, that sounds like a fucking made-up name.
Steve Steele, fake name.
That's a fake agent name right there.
Yeah, but he was the ATF's lead investigator on the case. And after a quick pass through the scene, he spent 15 to 20 minutes conducting his examination. That's it. He came to the conclusion, with local investigators' assessment, that there were 3 main areas of burning, and there was no obvious burn pattern across the floor connecting these areas. He said it looked like multiple origins, which is the holy grail of fire investigation. That, son, is arson.
Yeah, when you see...
They want it to be arson, They do.
Obviously. It looks better on their reports when it's arson, but again, if it's so clearly like that, there's no connecting fluids, there's no this fire clearly spread over to here.
Right.
It's like if there's nothing that leads like that, and it looks so much, if it's so easily arson, you would think it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? If it's so obviously arson,
right,
then it wouldn't be arson unless it's fucking the whole store is burned down. Someone threw some Molotovs through the window.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But at Lone Star Guns, the supposed 3 points of origin were all in the same room. within about 8 feet of each other happened to be the room with the case of aerosol cans. Anyways, in Hurst and Litany's views, it's likely that an aerosol can explosion, especially one with at least 10 cans in a case, 10 aerosol cans were involved in this. Come on, dude.
It's like a small little thing of napalm.
Right? They absolutely could spew flaming liquid 7 to 8 feet across a room and start separate fires with no obvious connection. Now, Agent Steele, old Steve Steele, would later testify that he didn't examine how the spray cans he saw littering the scene might have started the fire. He didn't inspect them at all. He didn't seize them as evidence, and he didn't take them for testing.
You literally walked into a fire scene,
Yeah.
saw a bunch of busted aerosol cans everywhere, and were like, that's a mess. Anyway, and just like walked.
Probably has no relation to this fire.
Somebody ought to clean that up.
Yeah. Look, check this out. Steele didn't even mention the aerosol cans in his report.
Yeah, like I said, somebody better clean those up. You just ignored the obvious evidence of the fire.
Right. And then he puts his report in with pictures of the scene which show exploded cans everywhere.
But they're not in the report.
Yeah. No one documented where they were or what condition these cans were in or what substance was in the cans. Nothing.
It's a fucking gun cleaner. It's highly flammable.
At the trial, Steele said they were a non-issue. He said, with my explosive experience and the fire experience, I know they will heat up and they will burst. But you don't get projectiles from the can or anything like that. It would immediately vaporize into a cloud and burn. If it was in the fire, it would not shoot. End quote.
So you lied. So you lied right there. So that was a fucking lie.
Right? Yeah. And it wasn't just the ATF, looking through the scene at Lone Star Guns. There was other people messing stuff up. Investigators hired by insurance companies also went all through the shop in late August 2004. The first, though, was Mike Michaela. So he kind of got to see the scene least molested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Least disturbed.
Least disturbed right here. The first was Mike Michaela. He was an investigator hired by Severns' insurance company. Okay, so he's there from the insurance company, and naturally, insurers they have a financial incentive to find arson.
Yeah, they want to find it.
They don't want to pay for this, right? Which shifts, the financial obligation from the company to the arsonist. But still, Michaela determined that the fire was accidental. He found one point of origin. He says it was a bench near the center of the back room where he found a frayed electrical cord attached to the desk fan that Severns had left running. Michaela theorized that the cord had shorted and sparked the fire. His opinion was not popular.
No.
The ATF examined the fan's electrical cord and determined that the arc or short in the wires just wasn't big enough to start the fire.
Then what
Just not big
fucking
enough,
would
baby.
have?
Nah, just wouldn't do it. But after Michaela left his fire consulting firm in 2004, his boss rewrote his report on the Severns case to concur with the ATF's findings of arson by multiple origins, according to court records. You know what happened here, right? They gave Michaela an ultimatum. They said, you're either going to rewrite this report to agree with the ATF or you're fired. And he said, well, then I quit.
Mm-hmm. Or we're going to make your life hell.
He was like, I'm not going to send an innocent man to prison for this job.
Yeah, to make this easier on you guys.
Right, to make and so he left. And the boss was like, well, fine, I'll rewrite your report myself.
Yeah, we'll do this with or without you.
Yeah. And he was like, I guess you're doing it without me. So that saved the insurance company quite a bit of money, too, as you can imagine. But Michaela never changed his mind. At Severns' trial 2 years later, he testified that he still believed there was only one point of origin. And Michaela is actually still a fire investigator in Washington State, by the way.
No, he was good at what he did, apparently.
Yeah. Now, other insurance investigators disagreed with Michaela. Investigators hired by insurance companies for the two neighboring businesses that sustained smoke damage said it was arson.
You bitches only had smoke damage. How would you?
Yeah, that's not surprising, given that they save their clients a lot of money, right? They really do. So like the ATF, none of them had considered the possibility that aerosol cans might have spread the fire, right? And of course, fire investigation it's more art than science, right? Every single fire is different.
Yes.
Fire obeys no rules.
No.
And then it destroys all the evidence.
It is the ultimate act of entropy.
Yeah, it's completely unpredictable. John Lentini, he explained it like this, right? He's like, say you have 10 identical rooms. You have 10 identical sets of furniture in those same identical rooms. You go into those 10 rooms and you light them in exactly the same places. He said you're going to get 10 different results.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
Fire is not controllable like that.
No. So in the past 20 years, experiments have disproved many of the old assumptions. You know, that arson fires burn hotter and faster, that a certain burn pattern on the floor means gasoline was used. And, you know, those things were widely believed for a long time, but they're just not the truth. And it has exonerated dozens of people.
That jet fuel burns hot enough to build to melt steel girders. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There are still places to go, people to see, and adventures ahead. Azure Well creates vitamins and supplements focused on purity, potency, and consistency for people who want to make the most of every season of life. Every formula is lab tested and designed for everyday wellness. If quality matters to you, compare what's in your cabinet to Azure Well. Visit AzureLivingWell.com. That's AZURE livingwell.com. These products have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
There she goes, our baby.
Are we ready for this?
You added her to your AAA auto policy. With 24/7 claim support, she's covered.
Our AAA agent, you're here too?
We're always here for you. Visit AAA.com/insurance to get a quote today.
But for years, investigators thought crazed glass, which was, you know, like web-like cracks from heat, that was proof that there was an accelerant used, and therefore that was proof of arson.
Oh, yeah, just because glass cracked.
Just because glass cracked, yeah. But recent experiments have shown that accidental fires can burn just as hot, if not hotter, than arson fires. And researchers have discovered that crazed glass actually results when the water from fire hoses hits the hot window.
Oh, no, that temperature thing from hot to cold? Oh, yeah, glass isn't like that.
But researchers have also identified a phenomenon known as flashover, which happens when enough smoke and gas intensifies to make a room explode into flames.
Just basically combust.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, anything that's on fire in that room could be thrown to another area, sit there, catch a fire. You follow me? So that's how it can look like multiple points. Yeah, and after a flashover, an accidental fire can leave tons of clues that once investigators thought was arson. You know, it could even leave the patterns on the floor that mimic the gasoline. It can leave that with a flashover. So, you know. But arson, like I said, is one of the rare crimes in which a defendant can be convicted almost exclusively on the testimony of a forensic expert, and it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So, it's one reason I wanted to cover this case is just I guess there's ways you could protect yourself. Cameras,
for one.
Cameras could definitely help. I don't know what else. Pay attention to your electrical cords.
I'm surprised there weren't any cameras in this gun store. You know, in Texas, like it seems like one of the best.
Like I said, small town, 2004. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, still, just it's one of those things where it's like you want,
but in a gun store, though,
gun store, it's like one of those places that might be robbed, that like might have a real crime go down in a gun store. You would want video evidence if anybody ever had to, you know, stand and defend. Exactly.
But yeah, it's kind of terrifying though. If you don't have video evidence and they can't prove it any other way, I mean, just testimony of a forensic expert and then anyone with an insurance policy, you already have a built-in motive. That's your motive right there. You have insurance. You might want money. So no one really knows exactly how many innocent people have been sent to prison by arson experts, you know, armed with their flawed evidence. But there are more than 800 people incarcerated in Texas related to arson right now.
Really?
So, yeah. More than 800.
Damn.
So, it's kind of crazy, man. It's a scary thing.
Yeah, it really is. Especially like you said, that basically one person can put your entire life away. Just one invest.
And because you have insurance, it's like, oh, you just wanted to get the insurance money. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what your insurance policy was, even if it's not enough to cover the bill.
Even if it's not enough insurance.
They still think you did it. Okay, but guys.
They think you did it and they think you're stupid.
So, obviously, according to this article, Severns was still in prison in 2009, right? But sometime shortly after that, I think he was released. And I know he's out now. And I was showing Andy this. I actually found it by mistake. I went on YouTube and just typed in Curtis Severns, and there is nothing about the man as far as his crimes, other than this article that I've linked in the sources, and then this podcast now.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this. And I can see how they would want to kind of, keep it on the down low, right? You know what I'm saying? They would. But I found this video of a man named Curtis Severns, and it was posted on the 23rd of this month of August that we're recording this. We're recording this on August 25th. On August 23rd, this video was posted. When I was researching this, 1 freaking day ago, or 2 days ago, and it says, the wisdom of discernment, seeking the truth. And it says, Curtis Severns, and he's doing like a guest spot sermon at Red River Unitarian Universalist Church in Denison, Texas. And guys, this is him.
Yeah.
So he's been out, and he briefly talked about how he had some legal issues, and some investigators actually saved his life because they brought this case to light, and he was released and whatnot. But he doesn't go into a lot of detail.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting. I also linked that video below too, guys, so you can see that he is alive and well today, and he's out. But there's nothing about his release and when it happened or nothing like that. It's like they're like, oh, we made a mistake. Let's just brush that under the rug.
Just go. You can go. You can go now.
But I have searched the lockup from the county he was locked, and he's not on there anymore.
Yeah.
So he's definitely free. And like I said, he's definitely in this video, because when I saw this video, I was like, is that him? And I pulled up old photos. I'm like, okay, that's definitely him. But I was like, well, maybe this is like a prison church.
Nope.
He's out. And it seems that he's been out. So kind of interesting. I don't know if you can call the Universalist a church.
Yeah, we looked it up. It's pretty interesting almost when you think about it. It's more like it's like a conglomerate of religious ideologies.
Yeah.
Like it's not really like one denomination or one sect of any type of religion. You can be any religion and be a member of this church.
Yeah. It doesn't actually sound that bad.
Doesn't sound too bad when you look into it.
I'm like, oh, so you guys kind of accept everybody?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
We looked it up. It was like 4 of their key tenets or whatever. We're like, these just seem like the 4 key tenets to be a good person.
Right.
Like to live in a society. What the hell?
Right.
Is this what we're supposed to be doing the whole time? Well, shit.
Saying Universalists got it figured out, bro.
I guess I'll start tithing.
So I guess there's a happy ending. Curtis Severns is out, but like I said, this story just kind of caught my attention, for one, because there is nothing out there on it, but also it's terrifying. And there are other people even in Texas that have been wrongly convicted for arson in the last 20, 30 years that are just astounding cases. They really are. You can go down a rabbit hole. These investigators, the ATF agents, the prosecutors, they put quite a few people away for this.
I believe that.
Yeah, they have. So, but yeah, it's scary. It's scary that a fire could start in your home in complete accident while you're gone or at a business, or and then you are looking at nearly 30 years in prison.
Right?
It's terrifying.
And like I said, I felt like this whole thing could have been avoided with an episode of Mythbusters.
Right?
Like, this was prime time.
The crazy thing is they already did the experiment.
In 94!
Yeah.
You guys knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. 10 years before the incident, they already did the experiment.
I'm just curious. I want to look up real fast. When did Mythbusters air?
Yeah, see when that came out.
This should have been completely covered by Mythbusters.
Right?
Yeah, that show came out in 2003. That's all they had.
Perfect timing, dude.
2003. You guys should have had the Mythbusters guys on there, figured this shit out in an afternoon.
They were just getting started.
We could have all been entertained by it.
They were just a nobody on the History Channel.
Right. On the History Channel.
Yeah, the History Channel quote.
I mean, that was history. They were busting historical myths.
That's true. That's true in a way. It's true in a way. But you know what's not a myth?
What's that, Michael?
That Oh My Guy is amazing natural deodorant.
It's not a myth?
That's not a
I've
myth.
heard
That's
it was
true.
a myth.
No, it's facts.
Oh my gosh, Michael.
Yeah.
Oh my Gaia.
Absolute facts. Oh My Guy is an innovative all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. There's tons of scents to choose from at ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com. You can also check them out at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram and find out about new scents and deals that are going on all the time. And because you're True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the code word Crimepine for 15% off your order. That's Crimepine, CRIMEPINE, no space, for 15% off your order. And we use that keyword because we have our own scent with Oh My Gaia called True Crime Pine. If you don't know where to start, it's a great place, guys. Again, that's ohmygaia.com. There's a link right below the description of this episode, as well as Patreon. Patreon.com/True Crime Guys, the best way to support the episode and all that we do here at True Crime Guys Productions. You can also give us a follow on social media at True Crime Guys, wherever you are, on the TikToks, on the Gram, on the Facebook, on YouTubes.
Any
What
of those
else?
social medias.
All the social medias. We're sharing all kinds of videos about the Lindsay Clancy case, and we try to share videos and information based on most of the cases that we cover. Obviously, I probably won't have anything about Curtis Severns up there because there's nothing about him.
There's nothing about this man out there.
Might put up some of his sermon from this church.
Yeah, if that's what you want to call it.
But all right, guys, that's pretty much it for this week. I guess we'll be back next week for another True Crime Guys case, and then it'll be headlines after that.
Yes, it will be, Michael.
All right, round and round we go, guys. You guys just keep on creeping, all right?
Bye.